John Wesley was the founder of what would become the Methodist Church. George Whitefield, meanwhile, was the father of what eventually became the Baptist denomination. And these two men had one major diametrically opposed way of looking at theology and the world. Wesley believed that human beings have free choice, free agency, that God created people with the ability to make choices as free agents, to choose a path that would lead them to salvation or to choose a path that would send them to hell. He believed that salvation was a fluid state, that a person could be on the road to heaven, but they could change course, make bad choices, turn away from God, and then go from being redeemed to being damned. Or vice versa, that people could have a salvation experience and go from a destiny of damnation to a destiny of redemption. The beauty of this was that people always have a choice to change their path and, as a result, to change their destiny. But the downside was salvation wasn't assured, and no matter how good of a person you were, no matter how redeemed you might be today, you're only one step away from backsliding, from falling from grace. So that notion of whether mankind was predestined, the question of whether salvation could be lost, was countered by the Calvinist ideology, which suggested that human life is sort of like marbles falling into a chute. If I design the chute and I know how a marble works, then if I drop it into the chute, I must know how it's going to end. I know where it's going to come out. Even if somehow the marble had consciousness, it wouldn't have agency. So it would stand to reason that if God knows everything, if God is all-powerful, then God must know who will be saved and who will be damned. There must be no actual free choice, just one story that everyone is in the process of playing out. Essentially, the Calvinist way of looking at the world suggests we're just observing a story that's already been written since the foundation of time. And life, whether you're a Christian or not, asks us this question in countless different ways, through countless different mediums and many different philosophical approaches. The question of whether we have free agency and have an infinite number of paths which we can potentially choose or lose, or if we are somehow just observing a story that's already written in the stars. On one hand, there is the openness of possibility to say we should be always curious about new things on the horizon, willing to change our course, to change our outcome. But then there's also that part of us that wants to say, maybe there is a set destiny, a fixed outcome for our lives, just one path that we're supposed to take. And so we wait for that pre-written story, that fate, that destiny to make itself manifest in our lives. I think there's something comforting about this idea that there's one path you're supposed to take, that out of all of the chaos and seeming randomness of the world around us, all we have to do is be still and listen. And that one true north will make itself manifest to us. Our one story that is meant to be lived out will be made real. All we have to do is surrender ourselves to it. It's sort of like the difference between a single player RPG where you can control your character, you can go different places and do different things with your inventory, but ultimately nothing is really going to come of it. There's really only one path to follow. Ultimately, no matter how much you want to deceive yourself, if you will, into thinking that you have agency in that single player RPG, you really don't, because there's only one linear track for you to follow. There's only one correct thing for you to be doing at any given time. The game is designed to level you up in a specific way, at a specific pace, to always give you the things you need to level up so that you'll be strong enough to handle the encounters which you're supposed to handle at specific junctures in your path. There's a specific beginning, middle, and end, and a course that fate has called you to follow. We like single-player RPGs because of that, because there's an elegance to this story. A clear story with a beginning and an end. A clear story that we know was curated thoughtfully, artistically, lovingly by the developers of the game. Whether you're of faith or an agnostic, we all like to have that notion that faith will guide us like a witching stick to help you find water to know where to dig a well. We want to believe that there's that one path of redemption, and it's just reaching out to find us. But just like single-player RPGs compared to MMORPGs, there's something else that calls to us, something else that says, maybe that's not really where it's all at. Because the truth is, as much as a comforting fairy tale makes us want to believe it, what we really long for is agency. What we really long for is the ability to set our own course, to choose our own path, and to be in control of our own lives. I would say that MMORPGs are usually not very good when it comes to their storytelling. Some are better than others, but ultimately, storytelling is not the strong suit when it comes to MMORPGs. And the reason for that is because the player is supposed to be the one telling their own story. Despite all of the linear things that happen in a MMORPG, primarily the game is supposed to be a sandbox. It's supposed to be a game where anything can happen, where you can always change your path, change your focus, and go anywhere that your heart desires. And that's appealing. It's appealing in the same way as it is also mundane. It's mundane because it doesn't really give us a clear path. It gives us a grind. It lets us do the same thing over and over again. And it never really allows us to get to a clear finishing point where we can be entirely certain that we've done what we were supposed to do in the game. So, by many measures, the single-player experience is better. The clearly written, curated story is more appealing, more satisfying. But on some level, spiritually, what we really know is that the best stories are the ones we write ourselves. And so, to go back to the question of life purpose, I think I've always erred on the side of wanting to believe that there's a specific path I'm supposed to take, that everything's happened for a reason, that life isn't just chaos happening at random, that there's only a specific thing, one thing, that I'm supposed to be doing at any given time. And so I've always thought, instead of seeking new things, it's better to be patient and to trust that the universe has a plan. But life has been a teacher that has required me to change my mind many times. I've changed my mind on political things from time to time. I've changed my mind about religion from time to time. I've become more ecumenical, more pragmatic, more willing to say the truth is what I'm looking for, not just what I want to hear. And so when it comes to that question of what is the path I'm supposed to take, in terms of relationships, in terms of career, in terms of believing that everything happens for a reason and having a sense of purpose, I guess I have to concede that while I don't necessarily know, my feeling on this is that life is indeed a series of random events, a confluence of many different paths. And as much as we'd like to believe that we have one destiny we're meant to fulfill, one soulmate we're meant to find, one relationship that will be the happy ever after, one job that will be the career we were meant to have, one purpose that was supposed to be our life story. There's actually many paths. There's many outcomes that we can choose. Now, maybe if you consider the topic of quantum theory, the idea that all possible outcomes in some form, in some layer of reality actually do and have come to pass, then maybe it can be a bit of both. Because time is a weird, tangled, hard to explain thing for creatures such as us. But I think in a practical sense, as we look at our lives and we say, well, should I wait or should I be more proactive? Should I stay or should I go? Should I trust that the universe will take care of me, or should I try to take my own destiny by the horns? I think it's important to be an advocate for yourself and to say, if I'm not getting the results that I want out of life, if things aren't working out the way I need them to, then I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to not hang on to those things that give me a sense of hope when the hope that they provide is a false hope. I'm not going to always be nursing something from the past or something that I was longing for because I want to believe. I'm going to accept that fatalism, if you will, to say maybe it is all just random. And if that's the case, then I'm going to build the best possible destiny by embracing as many good choices as I possibly can. I think relationships are a great example of this. You know, it's so easy to look at past relationships, maybe to look at a few options that you've always kind of wanted to work out. And while you're waiting for that one thing to actually work out, maybe it never would work out, but while you're waiting for that one thing to work out, because you want to believe that like it's the one thing that was meant to happen, well, maybe you miss a lot of other opportunities because you never embrace the concept of volume, of quantity, because you're always waiting for that one perfect thing of quality. And that's good. Patience is good. But patience isn't good if you're so busy being patient that you never actually just catch the bulk of all of the fish in the ocean. If you catch 1,000 fish and you throw 990 of them back into the water, you might get 10 rare fish that are incredibly special finds. But if you're always just waiting for that one perfect time to throw your line in because you want to just listen to the voice of the Spirit and then make the one fish that you catch in your life be the rare one you were looking for, well, you're never going to find the rare fish, because sometimes you just have to sift through a lot of ordinary fish before you find one that's actually rare. And I think we all know this, but it's hard to want to sift through a lot of random things when you believe that everything happens for a reason, because in a way it feels more poetic to say, I'm just going to wait until the universe manifests what I've been waiting for. But what if it's not? What if there is no divine hand that's going to speak your dreams into existence? Well then, if that is the case, it's important to be an advocate for yourself and to make a point to keep on exploring, to keep on finding new ways to have a diverse experience in your life. And don't get too hung up on any one thing. You know, we tend to get hung up on maybe a single game franchise. That's a good example. That one game you always play. And then you never actually open yourself up to have a different experience because you're always no-lifing that one title. It's kind of like that with a lot of things in life. Sometimes you can't find progress until you find the strength to let something go. And it can be a good thing, because when you start to say there isn't any magic answer that's going to make my life better, well, then you are much more likely to start getting to work on things that make a meaningful difference in your life today. And I will say, if you don't know where to begin, my challenge would be do something every day. Something small, not something overwhelmingly huge. I'm not saying that you have to be crazy and, walk away from all your relationships and walk away from all your job and everything in life so that you can go full midlife crisis. I'm just saying do something every day that's outside of the norm, something that's different, something that you can say falls into the category of working on pursuing your dreams, on working to broaden your horizons so that you are exposed to something that you wouldn't have otherwise been exposed to before. Don't just trust that the universe is going to take care of you, because there's a story I like. I'll close with this, and it went like this. There's a man sitting in his house, and someone says, hey, there's a storm coming. The weatherman says there's a storm coming. And he says, well, God will take care of me. And then some time passes. The storm comes, it's flooded his living room. And somebody in a boat comes by and they say, hey, we'll take care of you. We'll get in the boat. We'll take you to a place where you're safe. And he says, no, I trust God will take care of me. And then the waters rise, he's up on the roof, and the helicopter comes and says, hey, here's the rope, we'll take you to safety. And again, he says, no, I'm a man of the cloth, I have faith that God will take care of me. And then the waters rise some more, he gets washed away, he drowns, he dies. And then he's up there at the pearly gates and he's talking to God, and he says, I just don't understand. Why is it that I practiced faith for my whole life, and I tried to serve you, and then you just weren't there for me. Faith, I guess it proved to be for nothing. And God said to him at that time, he says, I sent you a news report. I sent you search and rescue teams. I sent you a helicopter even, and you refused all of those things. What else could I have done? And so I thought that was an interesting story, but isn't it true? We always are saying, well, maybe life will make a way for us. Maybe something's got to give. Something will change. Something will make our lives better. Something will save us. And we're looking for the clouds to part and the light to come down, and that one perfect, beautiful thing to just be delivered to us neatly in an Amazon Prime box, and it just never comes. But that's not because it couldn't be. It's because we were so busy waiting that we never actually sought to change our path. Always consider the possibility that life has many different paths available to you, not just the one you're on, and take that as a cause for hope, because knowing that there is something you might be able to do to make your life better tomorrow is a good reason to have a better attitude today. As always, good luck on your adventure. Till next time, thanks for watching.